I'm not threatening you. Say one more word, and that's 30 days. 30 days.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sovereign Citizens Hall of Fame. Listen, today we are courtroom hopping into the courtroom of Judge Jamie Rachel Rollinson out of the state of Texas. And from my understanding, Judge Rollinson has a very upset young lady before her on today. And it is understandable that this young lady is upset because it is dealing with her 8-year-old son that the state has motioned to terminate her visitation rights with. And also the state has motioned that she receive an attorney for these proceedings. So it is going to be interesting to check this out because from what I hear, she definitely has her sovereign citizen head on. So listen, I know you guys are anxious to see what happens. I'm sure if you've never been in Judge Rollinson courtroom like I've never been, you're anxious to see how she rules her courtroom. So listen, without further ado, guys, let's jump into the proceeding.
I'm here by special appearance. I am not the all caps entity.
I don't know what that means, ma'am, but you've been personally served in this case and you've made multiple appearances in court.
And I made multiple special appearances at this court. And I've also asked you for your bonds and oath of office, and I've never gotten it from you.
Ma'am, ma'am, please stop.
Are you a judge? Are you a judge? Are you the judge?
Ms. Rogers, I'm going to go ahead and mute you now so I can finish just making the appearances. Thank you. Mr. Griner's here for Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Johnson is in prison in Missouri?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Wan, are you here for Ms. Duchesne?
I am.
Ms. Smith with CASA and caregivers, correct? Ms. Malero, these are the state's motions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Thank you. And before we proceed, I know it's not a permanency hearing, but would you be able to advise Ms. Rogers of her right to have counsel appointed?
She is aware, but I will, she's fired her court-appointed counsel. Ms. Rogers, correct? I can't hear you, ma'am. I had to mute you just so I could finish making the appearances.
Yes, I did fire her. And you muted me because I asked you for your bonds and oath of office.
No, Ms. Rogers, I muted you because you were continuing to interrupt while I was just trying to make the appearances. At this time, you are entitled to an attorney. You are indigent. The court has already found you indigent. Would you like to have another attorney appointed to you?
Is she going to have a bonds and oath of office? Because if she's not going to have a bonds and oath of office, I don't want her.
Okay.
And you need to have one too. You shouldn't even be on this case if you don't have one.
Ms. Rogers, stop.
They already told me you're going to yell at me and stuff like that. I already know the truth.
Ms. Rogers, please, will you let somebody, can you not talk so somebody else can talk? Okay, I don't know what kind of bond you're looking for the attorney to have. I don't know if you're talking about
the one that you're supposed to have before you become a judge. The one that you're supposed to have when you graduate. The one that you're supposed to have when you have your initial and your signature on it. And if you don't have it on you, you're supposed to recite it to me.
Okay, I'm not
Otherwise,
sure
this case is fraud. It's fraud. And I will be sending an affidavit to show you that everything that you guys, I've been trying to tell you guys been lying about. You have defamated my image. You got my son's grandmother thinking that I burnt him to death. And you guys never stepped in to try to correct the story or nothing like that. But that's okay, because everything that I've been trying to tell you guys, I've been telling you from the get-go that you guys don't know us. You don't know what type of people we are. I love my son. I'm doing everything that I can to keep him out of the crosshairs of this corrupt government system, these courts. You guys know you don't care about my son like that. It's all about money for y'all.
Would you like an attorney to be appointed to you?
Is she going to have a bonds and oath of office because you guys are operating fraudulently?
Would you like me to answer the question, or do you want to keep yelling at me?
I want you to answer my question. I'm not yelling at you, ma'am. I know what yelling is.
Ms. Rogers, please be quiet so I can answer your question.
Okay.
If by bond you're referring to a law degree, everybody who works in the court as a lawyer has a law degree and has passed the bar and has a license through the State Bar of Texas.
That is
Other than that, they are all sworn officers of the court. Other than that, I do not know what bond you are referring to. Would you like me to appoint you an attorney?
I am referring to a bond and oath of office. You guys have a bar number, which means that you are a British crown, which means that you have no business practicing law over here. You sold your bonds and oath of office to England, okay? So this whole entire court case is fraud. The Chevron case is against it. I've been telling
Ms. Rogers, I'm going to go ahead and mute you so I can answer that question. I would strongly advise that you have an attorney work with you in this case to help you navigate the legal system. None of the attorneys are going to have the bond that you are looking for. I do not think. They will all have a law license. They are all sworn officers of the court. They have all passed the bar exam for the state. Okay, and none of them work for England. None of them are licensed to practice law there. They're only licensed to practice law in the state of Texas. But I cannot force you to have an attorney. I think it would be a very, very good idea. Ms. Malero, please go on with your next motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call the caregivers to testify briefly.
Hello. Yes.
One caregiver at a time. Okay, only one witness at a time.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Dillard, could you state your name for the record?
Ashley Dillard.
And you're Prince's current caregiver, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
During the course of this case, have you been present for phone calls between the child and Miss Rogers, the mother?
Yes, ma'am.
What is Miss Rogers's behavior like during these phone calls?
It be a lot of, the communication is just bad, and it be a lot of loud talking, cursing. It just be like a lot. So we never like get nowhere. I be have to end the visits most of the times. Sometimes they be okay. Most of the times they're not.
When you say that there's loud talking, has that been directed towards you or towards the child?
Sometimes towards me, and then son and mother, they kind of go back and forth.
Have the phone calls, has Miss Rogers ever made any inappropriate comments on the phone calls?
Sometimes.
Okay. What are some of the comments she has made?
Towards me or towards my nephew?
Towards your nephew.
She'll curse at him sometimes. She'll say that she's going to come get him. They yell at each other. He gets upset. He walks away. He starts crying. He'll like show me my phone. He'll be like sometimes upset after the phone calls.
Okay. So after the phone calls, your nephew's been upset?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes. How frequently would you say that happens?
So I would say when my nephew first got down here or whatever, the first couple weeks he was down here, like everything was okay. And then like as weeks and time go on, it then got like dysfunctional and just everywhere. So when the first couple weeks when he was down here, everything was cool. We had an understanding, communication, videos was okay. After that, it then kind of went downhill. I would try. My job is to try to still bring his mom and him together and make sure they have visits, video, and seeing each other and stuff like that, and to still try to make sure they have like some type of relationship, because I still do want my nephews to know his mom and stuff like that. As time goes on, like the conversations kind of went left, and I was confused on why, and she probably was confused too, but it just be like going left and like talking about like the house fire and what happened. He'll have a different story from her. He gets upset about it, and I'd be like, yeah, we need to change the conversation because it brings him like trauma. I do not believe that Kanisha feels like he is still traumatized towards that. In his sessions and stuff, he has told me that he is, and it just yeah, it went down. So it becomes times where I'd be like, Prince, do you want to talk to your mom? He'll be like, no, or whatever. So I do not force him to talk. Like, he's 8 years old. If he feel like he don't want to do something, I just still respect what he say. And then it would be times where I'd be like, okay, it's that time of the week, Prince. Do you want to have a conversation? Then he'll say yes. And then once they have a conversation, I guess it don't get nowhere. So I would have to like end the phone call.
When is the last time you did have to end a phone call between Miss Rogers and her son?
I want to say it probably was like, what, Mom, like 2 weeks ago, something like that. I don't know the exact. I know it was been over like 2 weeks, so probably about 2 weeks.
How frequently does Miss Rogers speak with your nephew over the phone?
It was a couple times a week, but with everything going on, I didn't put it to like one day a week. Mainly, I'd be want to do it like on Saturdays, because on school days he'd be really tired after school and aftercare and stuff like that.
Do you believe at this time that the phone calls between Miss Rogers and her, the child, are beneficial to him?
No, I know what it is, because at the time, maybe not, but I do still want them to at least be able to video or see each other. Like, I really tried to work with my brother and his mother, but it can get difficult. So at the time, probably not, but I do want to try to mend these people's relationship. That's kind of, it's a simple question to answer, but like, it's like a hard question too. It's just like, that's still his mom. That's still his dad. You know, I'm the auntie. I love him dearly, and that's why I stepped up. So at the time, no, but I do want them to be able to have some type of visits, but it has to be peaceful. Like, with all this drama, yelling, not understanding, and stuff like that. Like, I just want us to be able to have an understanding. I want them to be able to have good communication. Like, hey, son, how you doing? What you been doing up there? Like, how's school? Like, positivity flowing his way, because he's already been through a lot. So if it's positive and I get along, I love that. I respect it. If it's all this yelling and I don't want to go back down there and I don't want to be down there, and he says like a lot, and I want to say my auntie, and I think from Kanisha's point of view, like, she still is his mom, and that does hurt her feelings, but he tells her that he don't want to ever come back down there. And for me, I'm like, I love you nephew, like, you can stay here, but that, I think that upsets. She tells him you have to, he says he don't,
So,
and then it's me, and I'm just like, yeah, it gets overwhelming.
Let me ask you another question. Do you think it would be beneficial if Miss Rogers had family therapy with her son?
I think family therapy will help them. Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Rogers, do you have any specific questions for your son's aunt? Questions, not tirades.
I would like to ask her, would she please be more active in being a witness as to what is going on in the case? Like, for example, last time when we were on the phone for court, I asked them to get off the phone, her and her mother get off the phone. Jacqueline said, I mean, not Jacqueline, but Jamila said that she had no records of me taking a drug test. And Jacqueline has records of that. She also told Ashley.
Ashley
said that she could have told her that. She said she could have told her about the drug test and that she has proof of it. But
Ms. Rogers,
she could tell you that
do you have a question to ask? Do you have a question to ask the caregiver?
I asked her the question, would she be more active in being a witness to the dysfunction in the case?
Okay, that's a question.
Okay,
yeah.
So when you say,
and I had to give an example as to why I asked that.
Active, like, what do you mean being more active? Because
like when you see little dysfunctional stuff, like when you see little unprofessional things like that, like when you see the things that the
communicate with you.
Are you gonna let me talk?
Are you
gonna let me talk?
She's trying to understand you and then answer your question, okay?
But I was still talking.
So quickly ask it then. Whenever you see little unprofessional things happening, will you please be a witness to that? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, will you please be a witness to that? I've been asking her this forever.
Okay,
please be a witness to that. And will you please tell them that you have records of Jacqueline telling you about the drug test that they said that I never took? Can you please tell them that?
Okay, so to answer your question, Kanisha, has Kanisha ever took a drug test? Yes, she has took a drug test. Kanisha, you know that it took you like 2 or 3 times to even do it, but you have took it. So that is correct. And if you feel like I'm not communicating more, I will do my best I will do my best to try to communicate with you more. I've been telling you about his school. I've been telling you about the doctor's appointments. I've been telling you what's been going on and stuff like that. But yes, I will.
And can somebody in the courtroom please explain to her that it doesn't matter how many times you guys ask me. Once I agree to go, then the results should just stand after that. She thinks that you guys decide to get rid of the results because you asked me multiple times. That makes no sense. And I know you guys don't operate that way.
You don't need to really address it. There wasn't a question.
Okay.
I don't really understand, but the court, I don't know that the court has ordered any drug tests in the case since the beginning of the case. So perhaps we're talking
Really?
about Ms.
So were the
Brumley.
other court cases, were they recorded?
Ms.
Because you guys did
Rogers,
ask me to go, and I got text messages to show that I went.
Okay, let me finish. You don't want anybody to interrupt you when you talk. Please don't interrupt me either. It is possible that the caseworkers have asked her to test outside of the court with regards to specific court orders. I think that there was a court-ordered drug test at the very start of the case. And we've only been back for a first permanency hearing. And I do not believe that Ms. Rogers appeared. Ms. Rogers, do you have another question? About the visits. We're here today on a motion for visitation. Or to terminate
Also,
visitation.
another thing I would like to know, okay, so this whole thing is about you guys being worried about abuse going on, disrespect and stuff like that, my son being exposed to those type of things. Well, I just want to let you know that since he's been down there, I've been called bitches, whores, prostitutes, and I've been accused of burning my son on purpose. And that was by the grandmother. So
okay, Ms. Rogers,
there's still abuse going on. There's still verbal abuse going on. So why is it okay for his family to do it?
Okay, Ms. Rogers, I will give you one more opportunity to ask a question about the motion to terminate visits. Do you have any questions specifically related to that? That is what we are here for today. The state has a motion requesting the court to appoint you an attorney and a motion to terminate visits. Do you have a question about either of those two motions? If so, you may unmute and ask those questions, but we're not going to just get into arguments.
I'm not arguing about anything. I'm just saying that this is unfair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Greiner, any questions?
No questions from Ms. Rogers. Just want to let you know that the father is on the speakerphone now, so he is listening in.
Ms. Wan, any questions?
Yes, briefly. Thank you, Your Honor. And you say that Prince gets upset after these phone conversations with his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
How long does he stay upset on the average after such a phone call?
15 minutes.
15
About
minutes?
15 minutes, yeah.
Does he act out in any way
Yes,
following these conversations? I mean, you know,
sometimes he does, yes. Yes, sometimes he does, and it sometimes gets to the point where he'll be so upset or irritated that he just don't want to be bothered at the time. And he'll just be like, Auntie, can you just leave me alone? Like, I don't want to talk or be bothered. Yeah, I respect it, and I just let him be until he calm down.
So when you approached him with the idea that he might have to come down here to have a visit with his mom, how did he react to that?
Yesterday, that actually was asked because his caseworker actually came down to my place yesterday, and he told her that he does not want to get on the plane to come down there, but he said that he does want his mom to get on the plane and come visit down here, but he does not want to go down there, is what he said yesterday.
So it's your understanding he doesn't want to come here, but he'd visit her if she came there?
Correct.
I'd like to call Miss Brumley briefly. Does the department believe that it's best to terminate the visits between Miss Rogers and her son at this time?
The department do believe that it is in his best interest to terminate the way the visits have been set up between the aunt and the mother. We believe that it would be beneficial to Prince and his mom if a therapist was on the line with them with these visits.
So are you asking that any visitation be restricted to a family therapy or a therapeutic setting?
Yes,
at
ma'am.
this time?
Yes, ma'am, at this time.
With the option of visits resuming should there be improvement in that area, correct?
Yes, yes, with a therapist impression.
Any questions for Ms. Brumley, Ms. Rogers, about the visitation?
You last time you said something about visitations being physical visitations being once a month. And that I should pay for it out of my own pocket if I was to get on the plane. You also said that you wanted me to get a job, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, if I was to start working now or whatever, what job is going to let me take off every 30 days to see my kid?
Well, I cannot give you a job that will allow you to take off for your child. That's a job that you have to find on your own. However, right now, I do believe that the visits between you and Prince should be in a therapeutic setting. And regarding the visit that I talked about, because of everything that's going on, I don't think that it would be in Prince's best interest right now for you to even take a flight up there to see him with his aunt and his grandmother looking over these visits. I mean, it's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, cause to be honest, like, this is like really like not my family. We're not blood relatives. These are relatives of an ex-boyfriend who I just so happen to have a baby with. So it's a whole bunch of drama that's tied to that. A whole bunch of drama that I didn't really realize that I didn't have to deal with when he was with a foster parent. And it's too difficult. It's very, they are bringing up the stories about the house fire. They are the ones that's telling me to get on the phone with Prince and talk to him about his behavior. But Prince doesn't even want to hear anything as far as authority about his behavior. He doesn't want to have anything addressed as far as his behavior. So yes, he does get irritated. He gets off the phone, but it has nothing to do with anything that I said. Like, for example, I tried to tell him that he can't get on Roblox because he's on punishment right now for watching porn, okay? Which he didn't get that from me. But the grandmother jumps in and calls me all kinds of bitches and whores and accuses me of talking to him crazy because I told him that I saw on the news that they got predators on there that lure children and
Your
ask
Honor,
them for their
I'm gonna
address. That
object.
was on the
There's
news.
not a question here.
That's sustained. That's sustained.
So
can you ask a
it's
question,
like
please, Ms. Rogers?
I'm literally trying to figure out, like, what do you guys want me to do with my kid? Because everything I have evidence that everything I'm doing is for his concern and for his greater good.
Okay, Ms.
So
Rogers,
it's like,
I understand.
what do you want me to
Ms.
do?
Rogers, ask a question, please. What do you want her to do? There we go. Thank you.
Well, I did go out and see Prince face to face yesterday, and we did talk about roadblocks and your safety concerns. It is safety concerns with roadblocks. And Miss Ashley do have an app where she is monitoring all of his access to the internet. I have the same concerns with roadblocks. So we also
Can I please add it that the commercials that are in
No,
between
Ms.
these
Rogers,
apps?
let Ms. Brumley answer the question, please. She's
we
in the middle of talking. Let her finish
Okay.
answering your question.
Okay.
Well, like I was saying, Ms. Rogers, we did address the concerns that you have with roadblocks. Now, Ashley do have an app where she is able to see everything that Prince is doing on roadblocks, talking to people. We talked to him about talking to strangers. Of course, he said that those was not strangers; those was kids that he was communicating with out when he was in Galveston or wherever he was in foster care. But like I said, it's an app where Ashley is able to see everything that Prince is doing online to keep
I
him.
don't want him on there at all. What's wrong with that? I
It's
don't want
nothing
him
wrong
on
with
there at
it.
all.
Miss Ashley, please take him off of Roblox for good. It's an app where she could just delete the app, delete Roblox.
Okay,
And
let's do this outside of the hearing.
Yeah.
Let's do this outside of the hearing. Anything else about visitations?
So how exactly are they going to go? Like, how is this thing with this therapy going to work? The therapist being involved. How is everything going to be set up?
It would be set up maybe through Zoom, and a therapist will just be online with y'all while y'all communicating. And she will intervene if she have to. She'll be taking notes to see what could help the relationship between you and Prince.
Okay.
I have a question.
Miss Ashley, just wait just a moment.
Is this okay?
No, just wait a moment, please. Mr. Reiner, any questions for Miss Brumley?
No questions for Ms. Brumley, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions, Ms. Wan?
Yes, I just have a few. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Brumley, has mom engaged in any other services on her family service plan?
Mom have engaged in a drug test. She took a drug test May 2024. And it was a hair, no, it was not a hair, it was a UA, and it came back negative. And that's the only service.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Any additional witnesses, Ms. Malero?
No, Your Honor.
Any witnesses, Ms. Rogers?
Any witnesses?
Yes, that you wanted to
Ashley.
call regarding the motion to terminate visits today.
My husband is a witness, but you guys don't want him to talk. So I mean,
Okay, so yes or no? Just yes or no? Do you have any witnesses?
yeah, I do have one, but is he eligible?
Is he going to have
Because
relevant
everything,
information?
yes, I mean, I use the visits happens on his phone. I don't even have a phone. I use his phone for everything.
Okay, so then you would like to call him as a witness.
Yes,
Is he there?
yes. You want to be a witness? All right.
I don't know how you're going to be able to hear the hearing now, Ms. Rogers. You're going to have to be able to hear the hearing so that you can
Okay.
hear the,
Okay.
so that you can hear. What is your name, sir? You're also Mr. Johnson, correct?
Yes, yes.
Please raise your right hand to be sworn.
I do not swear.
Okay, then you may not testify today. Thank you.
Right.
Any additional witnesses, Ms. Rogers?
How is that possible? I didn't swear today.
You have not been called as a witness, Ms.
Bible
Rogers.
says don't
You've been
swear.
asking
The Bible
questions.
says don't swear. How do we use the Bible in court? But it says don't swear. Swear not.
You have the ability to affirm. Mr. Johnson can swear or affirm if you would let me finish
Do you want to
speaking.
affirm?
I can affirm. I'm
He
just
can
not swearing.
affirm.
Great, thank you. If both of you would just not interrupt people and listen to what they say, then perhaps you would be able to hear the answer and everything could move along more smoothly.
There was nothing I needed to hear when you say swear. I know that it's forbidden in the Bible.
Sir, raise your right hand to be sworn. Do
I
you
can
swear
affirm.
or
I
affirm?
can affirm. I
Do
can
you
affirm
swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
that I do.
Thank you. Doesn't have to be so difficult. Please
I just
proceed,
don't
Ms.
want to
Rogers.
transgress against God.
Ms. Rogers, please ask your question as long as it is relevant to visitation.
So how do these visitations really go? Who is normally always asking the questions, or what is the real reason why Prince is irritated or wants to end the visits?
Ask one question at a time, please. How do these visits normally go?
Answer.
Oh,
That's you, Mr. Johnson.
I'm sorry. The way that the visits normally go is I noticed that Ashley tends to be more involved in the conversation than actually the child and the mother.
Ask the next question, Ms. Rogers.
And when Ashley is involved in the conversation, what type of topics does she bring up?
Miss
Answer.
Ashley brings up personal things of their past history, nothing that involves the child at all.
Next question.
Has Ashley ever included any inappropriate phone calls, like phone calls from county jails so the dad can talk to the mother?
Yes. She tried to call on three-way with the father on a three-way jail call.
And anytime that Kanisha was disrespected by the family members, including Ashley, the mother, the sister, whoever, did she initiate the disrespect?
Ms. Rogers, let me stop you right here for a moment. None of these questions are relevant to whether or not your visits with Prince should be terminated. I mean, your son should be terminated. The question,
Okay.
the relevant question today is, should the court continue to allow you to have the phone calls with your son or not? The questions that you're asking, Mr. Johnson, need to be relevant to that issue. Do you understand? I don't care what Miss Ashley does with you and the father of your child. Not at least today in this hearing.
Okay.
Not today in this hearing. Today, I only am worried about visits.
From my testimony,
Sir, wait for the question, please. Ms. Rogers asked Mr. Johnson a question about whether or not your visits, it's appropriate for the court to stop your visits.
Do you think it's appropriate for the courts to stop my visits with my child?
No, I don't think that's appropriate. I think what needs to be done is there needs to be something that eliminates Ashley from the situation because she is in it for a personal reason and not just solely for the well-being of Prince.
Do you have any additional questions, Ms. Rogers?
Not as of now.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Malero, any question? Wait, Mr. Johnson, everybody gets to ask you questions now.
Mr. Johnson, how many of the visits have you observed?
I can't hear you.
How many of the visits have you seen?
All of them.
And when a visit is going on, where are you in relation to Miss Rogers?
Where am I as far as, what do you mean?
Like, are you engaging in the visit too, or are you elsewhere?
No.
Okay.
I do not engage in the visit at all.
Are you paying attention to the visit when you're there, or are you doing something else?
Well, yeah. No, I'm actually paying attention, but I will add this: you really don't have to pay attention because it ends up getting out of hand from Ashley's point, and I'm listening to Kanisha try to diffuse the situation and get it back on a regular accord or whatever. But Ashley continues to go with what she's on, which is something personal. It's not about kids. She sends pictures of herself.
Ms. Malero, ask the next question, please.
That's all the questions I have, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Greiner?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Wan?
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Rogers, any additional witnesses?
No.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Smith, what is Child Advocate's recommendation?
Okay, I apologize. To stop visits until a therapist can recommend that they're appropriate, because it is causing him emotional, to keep from causing emotional damage as far as his mental health well-being.
Here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to order that the caregiver can reach out and initiate visits as she thinks is appropriate. You're there, you see him, you hear what he wants, you understand his needs, and how those things affect him. In addition to that, in the event that the caregiver doesn't reach out to initiate the visits, then the visits shall take place with a therapist involved, so that we're not going to take Miss Rogers' visits away completely. That's not going to happen. But starting them in some type of family therapy type situation would be great. Miss Rogers, where are y'all living right now? You don't have to give me a specific address.
I have my own place. I have an apartment.
Okay, is that where you're at now?
Yes, I've been living there ever since I moved in on Prince's birthday.
Okay. And can y'all tell me, does Mr. Johnson have any bond conditions where the child is concerned?
What do you mean? Does he have any bond conditions?
I'm asking the district attorney's office.
So I don't see any charges right now. I know they were planning to take charges. I will need to follow up on those to see where that is.
Ms. Rogers, I'm going to go ahead and appoint you an attorney. You can discuss with the attorney the things that you're looking for and decide whether or not he or she is able to meet those requirements. But I will go ahead and appoint you somebody, and then you can decide where you want to go from there, okay? Ms. Rogers, are you engaging with Gulf Coast?
I took a break from them, but I am going to go back. I'm going to actually go back.
When do you plan on doing that?
I will call them today to set up an appointment.
That sounds very good. I think that if you could do that, perhaps some interventions could be put in place that would allow you to better communicate with your attorney and all of us to better communicate together so that we can hopefully come to a good resolution at the end of this case. Okay? But something has to happen, because every single time that we appear for court, you're very frustrated and angry, and it makes it very difficult for us to communicate. So if you could go to Gulf Coast, I think that would be better. I think that would be very, very helpful.
I'm pretty sure if anybody was in my shoes, they would be very frustrated. I've been
100%.
ignored this whole entire time.
I think that anybody who has a CPS case is very frustrated. So I hear what you're saying. It's the level of the communication that we need to, this is a court, and whether or not you agree with the court or with my position as a judge or the government in general, it's still appropriate for all of us as people to be respectful to one another. So with that, our next permanency hearing is on December the 12th. I've appointed Ms. Hatcher to represent at 10 a.m. Ms. Hatcher to, at this time, represent Ms. Rogers. Ms. Rogers, you can decide whether or not you want her to continue in that appointment after you meet with her, okay?
Okay.
All right, very good. I'll see y'all on December the 12th at 10 a.m. Thank you so much.
Well, there it is, guys. We have come to the end of this courtroom proceeding. And I must say, for my first time being in Judge Rollinson's courtroom, definitely liked the way she ruled her court. You know, anybody that got out of turn, spoke out of turn, she was willing to tell them, listen, not right now. You know, if they wasn't sticking to the script or to the questions, she said, listen, you need to get on board and get in line. So much respect to her, especially with the frustration that she was dealing with when it came to dealing with Mrs. Rogers. But I also want to say shout out to them helping this young lady by, you know, not just taking her visitation rights away, because from what it sounded like, even though we hear how upset she is, a couple times she got aggressive, obviously whatever's going on with her son, she wasn't doing nothing too crazy to him, or they wouldn't even be having this proceeding, and the judge wouldn't even be willing to not take her visitation rights away totally, and they wouldn't be willing to have a therapist sit on the line, you know, to write things down and to intervene when needed. So I'm grateful and thankful that hopefully this situation works out. We will try to follow it. Hopefully we will be able to catch that next proceeding. And if we do, I will definitely post it here. We'll just keep this young lady in prayer and her son in prayer, the whole entire family in prayer, and hopefully everything works out for them. But once again, guys, thank you for joining me for another video. Know that I appreciate you guys. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do, because we're just going to keep putting these videos out here. And with that being said, know that I appreciate you guys. I thank you. I will see you on the next proceeding. God bless you and peace.